apparently Turkey is not having it with the pride marches. Per the Twitter account Censored Men, apparently here is video. They tried to do a pride march in Turkey this week, and it was shut down there by the police in the span of minutes. Let's take a look and we'll react.
Yapma! Yapma gazeteci!
Tamam yeter.
Neyi kapatıyorsunuz? Neyi kapatıyorsunuz? Çekmeyelim diye.
Yes, so there's the video. There's a video of them shutting down the Pride March. Now, what can I say, right? They do things a little bit differently in the Middle East. But, you know, as I've so often said, every time that this happens, Uganda, the UAE, now in Turkey, you know, people say, well, look, that's a little bit much, that's a little bit far, blah, 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 this and that. To that I say, perhaps that's your opinion. But what this fundamentally is anti-imperialism. And that's what I said on Twitter today. This is absolutely what we are watching. This is anti-imperialism. Countries like Turkey, Uganda, the UAE, just random countries around the world are actually standing up to the imperialism that is being shoved down their face from the West, which is exactly what it is. You know, and I know some people don't understand what I mean when I bring up this concept of pride flag imperialism, but that's exactly what this is right here. Where do you think these protesters got their ideas from? Do you think it was homegrown? Do you think they just came up with these things? Or is it particularly cultural forces in the West, right, in the United States, that actually push this stuff down other countries' throat? I think we have the answer. So I look at something like this and I say, well, look, people are going to cry free speech, which we'll talk about in a second. But my opinion is that these countries have a right to resist. They do. Okay, I actually believe in self-determination. I believe every nation should get to choose its destiny for itself. Countries like Turkey actually do have a right to resist the spread of Western imperialism on their countries. And when I look at them doing that, I honestly, genuinely say, good for them. Turkey is a country that has, you know, probably an Islamic heritage and just a socially conservative heritage that spans back several centuries. And again, if they want to protect their heritage, if they want to protect their country from the forced imperialism, the forced degenerate, and, you know, forced nonsense from the West, I say absolutely for it. And, you know, before you maybe perhaps cry, oh, free speech, Vince, this is hypocritical. You're a conservative. Shouldn't you believe in free speech? To that I say, it's Turkey. Okay. You know, they don't actually have a constitution. They don't have any of that stuff, right? It really is in that country, right? If you do something that goes against our common values as a culture, you know, boop, right? Exactly, right? You know how it goes, okay? And to that I say, even on the front, and I truly mean this, keep this in mind, I truly mean this when I say, stop trying to spread your values on countries that don't want it. That's a lesson that we should have learned from the Middle East over the past few decades. Even when you stand there and cry free speech, I would still say you are trying to force your values down another country's throat. The truth is that concepts like, you know, quote unquote, democracy, free speech, all of these things, they don't actually exist everywhere in the world. And maybe hot take, they're not actually applicable in anywhere in the world. If you hand democracy, for instance, over to Iraq with like 3 different ethnic groups that want to kill each other, I really wonder what happens there. I really wonder what happens there. Is it all lolly jolly, or, you know, does a civil war break out immediately? This is exactly my point. I look at a country like Turkey. Is it a country necessarily I would want to live in? Probably not, but it's their country. I look at that. They seem to be doing just fine without all of our nonsense. And, you know, if you're going to cry free speech, this and that, we cannot even stop our children in this country from, you know what, you know, but we care so much about what Turkey does. Why? I don't care. And to an extent, I kind of actually laugh. I'm like, okay, well, you know, if they want to stand up to the degenerate forces of modern Western civilization, which is exactly what we are, I hate to say it, you know, I know it sounds unpatriotic to almost in a sense like root against your own hemisphere of the world. But truthfully speaking, the United States, you know, we used to export manufactured goods back when we had manufacturing power. We used to manufacture goods. We used to export goods, textiles, all that stuff. Now, what do we export? Well, the factories all closed. So what do we export around the world? Our culture? What is American culture? Degeneracy? This stuff? all the nonsense we know about. And so, I say to that, good for them. Okay. And I truly do have to say, I support all non-Western countries standing up against the forces of Western imperialism, because it is true. It is so 100% true. Okay. And it is, in a way, also very hypocritical, because the people who call me unprincipled or whatever, they're going to come, will cry, free speech, free speech. Free speech does not exist in most of the Western world. You could argue to an extent it's kind of dying in America, but I get it. We have a First Amendment. I'm not here to complain about it particularly, although I would point out, hey, look at social media. Still, though, regardless, okay, Canada, free speech does not exist in Canada. If you went and tried to protest in many ways against the pride stuff in a certain matter, we know this. You can be arrested in Canada, in the EU, in the UK, right? And I don't hear very often the very conservatives who come crying to me about, look at these tyrannical Muslims. Why are they doing all this stuff? I don't hear them coming to me when actually it's like conservatives are people who get arrested for free speech in the Western world. I don't hear any care about that. But suddenly when Turkey, kind of cracks down on the free speech thing, arguably from a right-wing perspective, only suddenly then people care. Genuinely, I don't care. Okay. These people knew when they went out and did the march that, hey, this is the way Turkey works. Okay, you didn't think they know that? You didn't think they knew they were breaking the law? They are there to enforce their own laws, and they actually did something we don't do in the Western world, which is they said they have these values. They turn those values into law. They said this is the law of the land. These protesters effed around, and they found out. So, I say, I'm not saying I agree with everything Turkey does, but genuinely, again, I support Turkey's right to self-determination, and I will push back against anyone who tries to stand up and be a Western imperialist and try to force the Western way of life down on non-Western countries. True. So true. Hey guys, Vince Dao here. Hope you enjoyed that clip from the Vince Dao Show. If you did, be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you are new to the channel. And be sure to check out the Vince Dao Show live every weeknight here on this channel at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. It is a great show. Many are saying this. So leave a like, check out our other clips, and be sure to check out the show. Yeah. God bless.